Hello, my name is Cynthia. Welcome to my FLOSSTUBE channel, Stitching in the Light. If you love beautiful needlework, you like to talk about it, you like to see examples of it, and most importantly, you hope to be inspired to create your own beautiful creations, you're in the right place. Thank you for clicking on my video today. I have lots of things to share with you, and I wanted to thank you for the returning subscribers, for all the new subscribers, for the great response I got to my last video with my Blackbird design finish. I have the FFO behind me that I'm going to show you and talk about, as you probably can guess from the title of this floss tube. But first I wanted to give a few shout outs and also answer some of your questions. Real quickly, I'd like to recommend a few floss tubers that you may not have caught. They have a newer channel or a smaller channel, and I'd just like to encourage you to check them out. The first one is Amy, the Joy-Filled Stitcher. I'll insert some kind of side clip picture of her. She does videos every Friday night, so it's very reliable if you like to stitch late into the night on Fridays like I do. She's kind of just like a friend that you can sit and visit with, so I encourage you to check her channel out. She's also a local girl. I think she doesn't live very far from me. I have to try to connect with her personally. And then also Stephanie, another local friend we have actually met mutual friends but not one another yet till our retreat in April. But she is a beautiful quilter. She's almost finished a modern folk embroidery piece that is absolutely beautiful, and I'll insert a picture of her with that. But I'd encourage you to try her channel. She has lots of talent, so go over and give her some encouragement. And then also Melissa Neely from Neely's Needle Nest. She doesn't get to post as frequently. I think she's really busy with her work, but she has some beautiful finishes of the hands-on design drums. I think she's done every one of them with the velveteen on top, and I'll insert a picture of those. She is just really talented at finishing. She wants to maybe start a finishing business, so I'd encourage you to go over and say hi to her. Several of y'all had questions in my last video, and I know not everybody reads the comments of videos, so I wanted to address those in case some of y'all had the same questions, and just to make some clarifications on my video as well. Laurel asked where she could find Threadworks thread. I showed this beautiful skein here of this variegated peach. It looks really good in this light. You can really tell the variegation from Threadworks, and she said she couldn't find it on 123 Stitch. It's actually spelled with an X at the end. I'll try to insert that text here, Threadworks with an X, and they have lots of it on 123 Stitch. Not all of it is in the 20 yard skeins, but they do have several colors, and so I'll insert that here. I also got a question about the quilt in my last video. I always forget to talk about my quilts that I display behind me. My great-grandmother, or my husband's great-grandmother, and his grandmother probably together made that quilt back in the 60s or 70s, and it's in really good condition. The quilt behind me here, I think it's called a wedding ring. Correct me down below if I'm wrong. Was also made by Jim's grandmother, and it's in really poor condition. It has lots of holes and stains, but it's one of my favorites. And a lot of her quilts were finished with this scalloped edge. That must be kind of hard to do. It isn't something I see a lot in modern quilts, but a lot of hers have that scallop, and she seemed to be just a beautiful sewer and quilter. So I enjoy those, and they are getting close to 60, 70 years old, so they're still holding up and still keeping people warm, showing love. From Darlene, I got a question about whether I stitch in hand. I probably addressed that in a couple of videos, but yes, I do stitch in hand. I don't use a Q-snap or a hoop. I just taught myself, and so that's how Priscilla and Chelsea do it. So I followed their suit, and she commented that my pieces were really unwrinkly, and you'll see that that's not the case today. I try to iron my finishes and maybe clip them to a board because I'm hoping to frame them or deal with them soon, so I don't let them get wrinkly, but you'll see my stitching in hand makes my stuff really, really wrinkly. Marlene asked about the Bible website that I linked in my last video, and I'll try to link it again in this one. You can get the audio to play on the Bible Gateway app with the message, but you have to click on the verse and then click the play button at the top. It was a little tricky. You have to click a few things to get it to play, but just keep at it and it'll read in a continuous loop if you like to listen to entire books of the Bible at the time. So that was a little bit confusing. I wanted to clarify that if you've tried it. I also listed my husband's Facebook writings below, and I'll link his most recent one. It's not about the Beatitudes, but I'll try to link those in my videos. And probably you'll just be able to read those writings. If he doesn't know you personally, he probably won't respond. I think he has over 1,000 friends. So he probably won't know who you are if you send a friend request. So just read the ones that I link. And if you have any other questions, let me know. And then Ellen asked on Instagram, no, here in the Facebook or in the YouTube, about some places to shop in Fort Worth. A lot of people travel through the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area. I called it the Metroplex in a video, and someone said, what's the Metroplex? I just assume people know that, but it is a giant kind of metropolis area here and airport hub for most of the country. So if you would be interested in that, I'll link a few places. We have the Stitch Niche in Arlington, which is my local needlework shop. We also have Fancy Stitches in Cleburne, which is about probably 45 minutes from the Metroplex, or 40 minutes. So it may not be something in your time frame, but it's a fantastic shop and super nice staff. And then the third place I want to recommend is called the Painted Tree Marketplace. If you've ever heard of Canton, Texas, there's a huge flea market there once a month. They call it First Mondays. And it is a slog to get there. It's, you know, about an hour outside the city, and it's super crowded, and it kind of got over exposed. I feel like we used to go about 10 years ago all the time, but it kind of became not so appealing after the crowds kind of took over. So a lot of the vendors from Canton have moved to this old, I think it was an old grocery store. It is chock full of antiques and vintage and handmade stuff, boutique clothes, jewelry, candles. It's gorgeous. So I'll try to insert a picture of some of the things there. I go there every couple months. And so if you are in the area, I highly suggest you check them out. And for the last one, one of, I don't know her name, but one of the viewers said, I can't find the link to your gingerbread or to your snowman. And I will say, if I'm filming late in the evening or if I'm trying to edit late in the evening, I don't always get the links posted. So when this video airs, if you don't see the link, then check back the next day and I will get them there. It's just sometimes it takes my computer like 2 or 3 hours to load up. And if there's a problem and I've listed all the links, then all that time was wasted and I have to just do it again. So I wait until it's completely posted and then I go back and edit and add the links. So just hold tight and you will find them. So thank you for those questions. If you ever have any other questions, then please post those below. I love to interact with y'all. The next thing I'd like to share with you is a previous finish. I have only been cross stitching for about 1.5 years, so I don't have a ton of cross stitch finishes yet, but I've been crafting since I can remember when I was a little girl. So paper crafts are some of my favorite, and this is one of the most favorite things that I've made. I think I made this last year, maybe about 2 years ago, and it's something you see a lot on Pinterest. I watched a YouTube video on how to make it. I might try to link one. I'm not remembering which one it was. It wasn't someone I followed, but it was very well laid out as how to make this. And I used scrapbook paper from one of those pads that you can get on clearance at Hobby Lobby, just a like 5x5 card. And then I used the fun part was this antique reproduction like Italian, or no, it's not Italian. Some of the papers were Italian, but this is like fruits and vegetables, like kind of just some antique typography. And I just really thought it was appropriate for my kitchen. The middle one there says beans. And I used a lid of a peanut jar to make the center medallion. I wrapped paper around it, and I put a centerpiece of one of the, it's kind of hard to see, one of the fruits or vegetables. I guess it's a bean there. And then I found this in my great grandmother's jewelry box. I like to have her jewelry out and use it for needle minders and different things rather than sitting in a box that I never look at. And when I got it out, I don't know if you can see, I'll try to insert a picture. There is some family members' names. This may have been for like a wedding or something, or an anniversary. It says Ed and Marie S., which I know stands for Shane Halls. That's my grandmother's maiden name, but I'm not sure which Shane Halls that was. So this turned out really pretty, and I'd encourage you to try it for spring. I like to do crafts that come from things that are free. So here's the back. I think it's a pizza box, yeah, Pizza Hut. And you just attach it in a circle like that. So lots of hot glue, but super affordable, and I've had it up for a couple years now. It's holding up really well. It's super lightweight. You can hang it just from a pin in your door, like in my kitchen pantry is where this sits. So that's a previous finish that I wanted to share that I thought you might like to try. Next, I have an FFO that I wanted to share with you. I'm super proud of the way it turned out. I found this frame for my Blackbird Design Birds of a Feather sampler, and it is just an 11 by 14. So I knew it would fit width-wise, but I was a little bit sad to find that I had space at top and bottom that I didn't realize. So what I did was coffee dye some lace from Hobby Lobby. It's not, it's got lace on top and bottom. It's not a one-sided lace. And I just pinned that in kind of to fill in that space and hopefully disguise the gap. And I think it does. I didn't want it to look super girly or frilly. I was afraid that the lace would have that effect, but I don't think it did. I also did something crazy, as the title of this video suggests, and I dabbed coffee grounds all over this. I had already kind of messed up with the dye. You can kind of see that it's darker across the middle, but I wanted this to be super grungy, so I wasn't mad at that. But I had some maybe lighter patches here and there with the dye, and I wanted to antique it even more, make it just look kind of grungy. And so I followed the example of one of the members. If you're a member of the Blackbird Design fans of Blackbird Design Facebook group, they posted this finish with the coffee grounds, and hers is a little darker than mine even, but I was a little bit timid going in. So actually, some of you might not think I was timid. And I know this is maybe, you know, not for everyone. Everyone may not like things quite so primitive, but I think for this piece it was very fitting, and it wasn't a gigantic sampler, so I wasn't as scared. So I encourage you to experiment, and if I got something too dark, I'll try to show a clip of that too. One time I really smudged the coffee grounds in, and I just rinsed it out. I purposefully used DMC floss on this so that I could rinse it. I intended to do that from the beginning when I saw that finish on the fan page of Blackbird Design. And so this is red DMC, and no bleeding, you know, no problems. I think it just gave it some added character, and I love the lace. So I'll insert the video of me dabbing the coffee on the sampler, and if you're interested, I encourage you to give it a try. I'd like to share the works in progress that I've worked on so far this month. I have not had as much stitching time as I'd like. We ended up going to Austin, Texas for my daughter's basketball tournament and having kind of an impromptu 3-day vacation. So we had a lot of fun, and I stitched a lot on this piece while I was in the hotel. Oops, upside down. I always do that. It had a lot of good light in the hotel, so I was able to stitch on Miss Baxter's house. I love this piece. I made it all the way across the top here just to make sure that I would work out on the space, and it is tight. I do not love that spacing, but most of the sampler seems to be to the top. If you notice, the bottom is the lady, and it's a little more spaced out. So I'm hoping if I can knock that cabin out, then maybe I'll have a chance of finishing it. But as you can see, it's just a lot of stitching. And who was it? Carol Saltbuck Stitcher said, if you point out a mistake, you have to rip it out. I'm not ripping out this mistake, but I will let you know just for humility's sake. I am off a stitch row on these cabins. It's supposed to be 3 rows of white, 3 rows of old hickory, 3 rows of white, 3 rows of old hickory. Well, I substituted that old hickory out, and I don't know how I did it. I am a row off. I have like 3, 3, 3, 2. Just one of the rows has 2. And I'll probably do it on the chinking. I hope you won't notice too much. The lines on the cabin don't line up anyway. When you go to the next set, it's stacked higher, so I hope I can fudge it. But my whole house, or my whole cabin, is 1 stitch row short. Just 1 stitch. So I am pressing onward toward the prize, and I'm not even going to be sad about it. But I love stitching this border. For some reason, I can only stitch it one way though. I can only stitch it when I'm going up with the leaves. I tried to turn it down this way, and I was having so much trouble reading the pattern. So I have to go in a similar fashion to be able to keep my stitches up. That's one of the things Teresa said one time in a stitch with me, that she likes her stitches in hand better when she's going up, and I totally agree. They look a lot nicer when you stitch up. If you've been frustrated with stitching in hand, you might give that a try. But as I go up, I could figure out the pattern, and as I tried to go down, I was getting confused. So, but it's a really simple pattern. I did some more of that scallop, and I filled in the house, and I just have to go down and do more fill-in. So this is a 28 count piece of Monaco that I dyed myself, kind of over dyed a little bit. I wanted that white to show really well, so it's going to be super pretty, and I already have a frame for it, so let's hope we make good progress on that. The next one that I worked on is something that has just been, I don't know why I don't feel called to this piece. I love the end result, and I love this pattern. You know, just different elements of it. Teresa signed it for me when I met her in October or November. But it's just one of those that doesn't call to me. When I'm working on it, I'm fine, but I kind of have to force myself. But I really want this to be done. I'm tired of it to be being a whip. I made a lot more progress on the red border. Those are eyelet stitches, so they take some time. And I made a little squirrel up there in the corner and a crown. And I started working on, I think it's the central motif there in the middle, that like urn, and oh, I guess it's like a topiary. But I wish I had the silk on this particular element. That was one of the things too. I couldn't remember which white I used. I must have borrowed it from another chart, which is a big no-no. Don't do that. So I couldn't remember. It's just ecru that I was using. And in the chart, the silk that Teresa uses has a lot of, I'll try to insert a close-up picture, a lot of pink and blue, almost like variegation in it, which doesn't really match. I mean, Teresa didn't pick it, the girl that stitched it did, but doesn't really match the kind of burgundies and golds anyway. So I was kind of debating. I like things to have variegation, but I'm gonna stick with ecru. And that kind of held me up, that decision of, okay, what am I gonna do? Because everything is lined in white. The bird is white legs, and then I just needed to have that decision made. So it's coming along. I just have to keep plugging away. And like I said, I didn't have a lot of stitching time so far this month. It's been a little busy. The next thing I worked on was my shepherd's sampler, and I'm still working on that. This is in the week that I'm at. I filled in some more of the grass and the star element above, and that little border is so cute. I just love this stitch. This is one that I look forward to. It's not any kind of hardship to pull it out, but I need to keep going on the grass. That grass is a little tedious. I outlined the sheep. I'll insert a picture of where I was last time. But I outlined that sheep with grass, and then, like I said, I had to rip out that top little element the first time I did it. You have to count carefully with it, but it is so cute. And I love that red I'm using, and there's that little star at the top. It's going to be filled in with green all around those other elements, but love this stitch. Hope to get back to that probably tonight and tomorrow, so not done with that work. And then on the weekends, I worked on my Prairie Schooler Christmas ornament. Hopefully that's almost finished. I'll show you that next time. And this one is almost finished as well. This is Jenny from the Animal Cracker series by Stacy Nash. Sorry about that glare. She is so cute. I had to change her head color because it was kind of golden, and I didn't care for that. The old hickory problem. I heard Emily C talk about it too. It's not a brown anymore, but she is super cute, and she's headless. But I stitched an entire skein of barn gray on that dress. I was down to the stitch to finish. It was like one of my commenters on Instagram says playing thread chicken. And that is true. I just barely made it. In fact, I didn't quite. I'm going to have to add an extra. You can see the gap in her sleeve. I'm going to have to add an extra red cuff on that side and that side so that I have 2 stitches, because I'm not going to go buy a barn red or a barn gray just for those 5 stitches. I'm just going to make it work. But she's super cute, and I'm going to cut her out, and I'll try to show you that process as I finish that, probably before the end of the month. And when I finish that, I have another Stacy Nash small to work on. Not so small. Her smalls are tricky. You think, oh yeah, I could whip that out in a weekend. What was my original thought? No, that's thousands of stitches. I almost felt like I was knitting like a carpet or a rug or something, as I was just constant rows, but I don't mind that. Sometimes it's kind of easy to watch TV and do, but it is on 36 count, so you have to go, and I used 1 strand, so you have to be careful, but it's super cute. And I think that is all. Oh, one more. I have found my capsule plans for 2020 to be a little ambitious, as we all do. We think we can get so much done. And I'm trying to think about how I'll adjust going forward. I've got 2 weekend projects. I thought I could do Jenny and an ABC in a month, and I just really can't. So I'm taking on too much as usual, but this one was another one that was calling to me because it's just so fun to stitch these Little House Needleworks. Oh, I forgot to show you the picture. The ABCs. These are really fun stitches, and it does require a long length of fabric. So for cost, I used Aida for this. I used a 16 count Aida so that it would be the 32 count required, but I didn't want to buy a fat half because that's how long it's going to be to be able to stitch this. I wanted, like, you know, an $8 piece of Aida or $4 piece of Aida, I think. I dyed it myself. I explained that last time to make it, I don't know if it's super true with the green tone. I don't know if you can see that. It reminds me of this paint my mom used from Restoration Hardware in one of her houses. It was beautiful paint called Silver Sage. That's a good name for this color. It's like silver gray, but also a little bit of sage. And as such, I changed the colors on the floss. In the original, they were blue, kind of like a, I think it's called Storm Cloud. And Nisi Lynn, I'll link her below too. She's another good one. Was stitching the same thing, and she found her Storm Gray or Storm Cloud to be totally gray instead of blue, so she changed it as well. I prefer teal. It's one of my favorite colors, and this Teal Frost by Weeks is so pretty. I don't know if you can see. That's what I did the lettering with, and the quilts And I also used that Silks for You silk that was a gift from Mel of Patchy Pony Stitcher. And I'm not wanting the pink on there, but I'm using the blue and the purple. That blue and purple will be kind of the patches of the quilt. And then it'll also be some butterflies, which I thought would be perfect. And I think it goes in a couple other places, but I'm concentrating on the purple. So this is a super fun stitch, super easy. I hope to get that done at least by the end of March, and I'm going to have it up for April and May. And so that was the work that I've done so far. I also have a few secret stitches that I'm not quite done with. I was holding off on this video because I wanted to show them to you, but they're not quite done. So I will hold off on that and just go ahead and film. I wanted to share some stitchy kindness that I received, and also a few bits of haul that I picked up to work on in the next couple months. I mentioned when I showed my bird on an oil can that I didn't have the budget right now for a punch needle setup, and you know, I wasn't really sure when I would be able to do that. And a viewer, Nikki, thank you so much. I almost wanted to cry when she offered. She sent her entire setup, or her stepmom's entire setup of punch needle. It didn't work out for them, so it was just sitting in a closet. And she sent me a pattern, a stand. She sent me this thread primitives, a partially started punch needle, and a ultra punch. I mean, everything that I needed. I was having such a bad day one day last week, just some real struggles at church and with my husband, and or people that had hurt his feelings, and I just thought, oh, are people even good? Is there, you know, I was just feeling really down, and I got this beautiful package from Nikki with a beautiful note and just an encouragement. So thank you so much. It's amazing to me that you can just mention something and there's someone out there across the country that can just bless you in that way. So thank you so much. I also got a beautiful package from my mom at the same day, and it was almost like God was using y'all to just say, yes, people care, people are worth it. So thank you again. I appreciate that so much. I also picked up a couple of patterns. You know, I love to do, if you've watched my channel for a while, I love to do the primitive pieces with muslin. These are a little different. I got a new seller on Etsy that I found called Woodland Primitives, and she uses like quilt fabric, and I'll show you the next one with dish towels. But these eggs were so cute. I thought I struggle to find Easter and spring decor that isn't so you know, cutesy, or I mean, I like cute, but not so you know, childlike. I want it to have some more depth of color and be more prim, and so these were exactly what I was looking for. I had to find some patterns. I found, or some fabric that's kind of matching that. I love that pink one in the front that's kind of dark. So I'm going to head to Joann's and try to pick up a few little fat quarters and sew these up. So hopefully I'll have those to show soon, maybe the next couple weeks. I also thought I will put a tie on the top of those, on some of them, and put them on my seasonal tree. So there was that. And then these I've admired for quite some time. I finally went ahead and bit the bullet, and I think there was some kind of sale maybe. A lot of times if you put things in your Etsy cart, this is a tip, leave them there for a week or so. They'll send you a coupon code to try to encourage you to check out, like a 10% off. So that may have been the case on this. I can't remember, but these are made out of like dish towel linen, which they sell at Hobby Lobby for about $4. So I'm going to try my hand at these. And the twine on their whiskers is waxed twine. And I have some wax in a melting pot and some twine, so I'm going to attempt to make that so that it stands up. But I can't wait to make those, and they may be part of my upcoming giveaway. I'm about 10 away from 1,500 subscribers, so this was my plan, to make some of these eggs and a bunny, and then probably to give away Jenny, my Stacy Nash animal cracker. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button if you would. That would help me out a lot. And I will be making these for my 1,500 subscriber giveaway, and also just to give us some gifts and things around the house. So that was a lot of fun. I also spent some time, sometimes I get bogged down in organizing. Instead of stitching, I organize my stitching stuff. Like, just go stitch, stop it. But I made another notebook, or I put all my Stacy Nash things together. I don't have all these patterns, but I intend to do them. And then also some Not Forgotten Farm that I love. I kind of put that in the front of a notebook as a collage, and then the patterns I keep inside. So the one that I picked up this month, the only pattern I'm going to pick up this month, I believe, other than those little $3 Etsy ones, was a Hollyberry Christmas farm. I tried to buy this on eBay. Y'all have seen a lot of people stitch that. It's so beautiful. I bought this pattern on eBay, and the seller sent me Spring at Hollyberry Farm, which at Hollyberry Farm, I would say Hollybrook, Hollyberry Farm. I didn't initially like that pattern, and I was like, I don't even want to stitch that. But now I've kind of come around. I'm going to make it lighter so it's not so dingy, or maybe more of a gray color. And so I was glad to have it, and I got it for free because it was her mistake, and she had sent the Christmas one that I bought to someone else. And that buyer said, no, you didn't send that to me. She's like, yes, I did. But that person's enjoying my Christmas at Hollyberry Farm. And I got a new one from Shakespeare Peddler, Kitten Stitcher, when she had a free shipping sale. So that was my only haul for the month, other than the patterns on Etsy. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to show you. This isn't cross stitch haul per se, but I picked this up. I told you I'd been looking for a cubby. I needed something that had a back so I could set things up, probably this direction. And this was at Ross. I got it for $12.99. I don't know if you can see that. And I think I'm going to antique these shelves, either do some kind of wax treatment or make them darker so they're not that color wood. I don't have anything that color wood in my house. But I really like these to set my oil can and the different little crackers that I'm going to make. So I thought this was a cute cross stitch kind of cabinet or accessory, and I'm going to have it on the wall hopefully soon. In some of my videos I'm looking at the spot. I'm working on a new setup for my cross stitch, so I'll have this in the backdrop, and I thought you might want to try to find it for $12. That was a really good deal, I felt like. So that was the rest of my haul. I wanted to share a few tips that I've probably already shared on Instagram, but not here, and things that I find to just be helpful with my cross stitch hobby. A lot of you saw a library card that I posted for my, I can't remember, my ABCs, my spring ABCs. I got this idea from another Instagrammer over a year ago, and I tried to find her name. I don't like to take credit for things that weren't my idea, but these make really good project lists of, you know, what you're stitching. It says author and title, so you can put the designer and the title, and then write out your flosses. You could put the date of when you started as the date loaned. I didn't have an exact date on Sarah Woodham. And then if you have any notes to yourself. And one Instagram follower said, oh, I just went to order these on Amazon. You actually don't have to order them on Amazon. I may eventually, because it's nice to have them in kind of a thicker paper, but I just printed these off of my computer. There's lots of places where you can Google and find a free PDF printable. So I'm going to do my next set on cardstock. I have to go pick some up at Walmart, but I just thought that was a cute idea for how to organize your pattern and information. So just a free little tip. I'd like to end with just a couple of plans. I've already mentioned I'm going to do the spotted pig pin keep, but I didn't have it with me last time. Here's that design. Like I said, it was 153 by 95, so a little bit bigger than I anticipated, but I'm still going to go ahead and do that one next instead of the berry. I have a berry that I'm going to work on too, but here's the murky fabric, and here's the threads. Most of them called for, I think. There's some beautiful gentle arts in here. Apple cider and Rose Garden and Carriage Black. I just love those colors. So can't wait to get that started as soon as I stitch that silly bird head. I'm a little bit frustrated with it because it's taking me so long. I'll start on the pigs. So just a pretty stitch, and I'm also going to continue on my cross stitch capsule. I have some videos coming up about how to finish some gifts that I'm making, the ones that are secret that aren't quite finished. And I have a floss organization video. I was finally able to get that all labeled and figured out, so I was going to share that in a separate video, maybe even later today. And also the way I store my kits, my kitted up patterns, and I think that's all. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your continued kindness and views and subscription. And if you have any questions, like I said, leave those below. I also had an idea from another YouTube channel I found where instead of having the prayer requests listed on each video, that does make it a little harder for me to find sometimes. I thought we could actually enter into a prayer list together by using the community tab. I post things there every once in a while. I don't know if people really see those, if they kind of get lost in the feed. But if you go to my channel header page and click on the community tab, if you have a public prayer request that you'd like to share, there's several that I've heard just listening to Floss Tubers lately. I know we lost Leanne from Lost in Floss and her family and her co. So if you want to leave a prayer request, if you'll click on my channel page and go to the community tab, you can leave that there. And as you pray for another stitching friend or another fellow stitcher, if you would click the thumbs up on that comment, that will let them know that a prayer was lifted up for them. And I just thought that was a really clever way to keep it all in one place as far as any prayer needs and prayer requests. And I can also find them quickly instead of having them getting buried in comments. So as I finish most of my videos, it says in Psalm chapter 90 verse 17, may the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands. I'll see you soon.